finance for family business. At the outset, I would like to profusely thank Ramananda ji and Geeta and MCCI for giving me this opportunity of interacting with every one of you. अब देखो 1 घंटे का समय है और 1 घंटे में बहुत कुछ कवर करने की कोशिश करेंगे. क्या क्या कवर करने की कोशिश करेंगे? This is all that what we would try, because Geeta has also conveyed to me a few topics on which some of you have wanted special attention. So I would ensure that we would cover those topics as well. Contrary to popular myth that finance is very difficult to understand, let me tell you, अगर दुनिया में कोई भी चीज सबसे ज्यादा आसान है समझने के लिए तो वो है फाइनेंस. क्यों? पैसे की भाषा है, सबको समझती है और बराबर समझती है. पढ़े लिखे को भी समझती है और अनपढ़ को भी समझती है, अनपढ़ को ज्यादा समझती है. And that is how you will see the best of the finance brains ever existed on this earth never had any formal education in finance. Dhirubhai Ambani never went to Harvard or IIMs or any other place for that matter. Same is the case with Bill Gates as well. And Bill Gates also, we know that he is again another financial wizard. So, finance is more a matter of attitude than a matter of knowledge. So, and this is what we will try and do in this session. आई एम श्योर, मुझे मालूम है बहुत सारे लोग बोलते हैं अरे फाइनेंस का, लोग बोलते हैं कि दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा डर किस चीज का मालूम है आपको? दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा डर लोगों को लगता है कि मृत्यु का, और उससे भी एक बड़ी चीज है जिससे लोग बहुत डरते हैं, और वो है पब्लिक स्पीकिंग. और पब्लिक स्पीकिंग से भी एक और बड़ी चीज है जिससे लोग डरते हैं, वो है फाइनेंस. सो यू नो पीपल आर स्केयर्ड ऑफ फाइनेंस. But the fact of life is बहुत simple है, and I'm sure this is what you would experience in this session of 1 hour today, कि फाइनेंस में कुछ भी मुश्किल नहीं है. तो हम क्या करने वाले हैं? हम बात करेंगे firstly purpose of business. Then we understand profit and loss. Then some of you have wanted to know as to how do the business planning. तो उसके बारे में बात करेंगे, business planning कैसे करते हैं. फिर समझेंगे कि बैलेंस शीट क्या है और बैलेंस शीट की क्या यूटिलिटी है, हाउ डज इट हेल्प यू. देन वील टॉक अबाउट द कैश फ्लो मैनेजमेंट. कैश फ्लो मैनेजमेंट के क्या फंडामेंटल प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, हाउ डू यू डू द कैश फ्लो मैनेजमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस, क्या क्या चीजें जो आपको याद रखने की जरूरत है. देन वी वुड टॉक अबाउट द कैपिटल बजटिंग. कैपिटल बजटिंग क्या है एंड हाउ डू यू डू द कैपिटल बजटिंग एंड व्हाई कैपिटल बजटिंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट. देन वील टॉक अबाउट, सम ऑफ यू हैव आल्सो वांटेड टू नो कि फाइनेंस और अकाउंट्स में क्या फर्क है. So we will discuss about as to what the difference between the finance and accounts. And then of course there is also a question, how can second gen of family business owners get up to the speed with finance and accounts aspects of family business. तो उसका बहुत आसान तरीका है. Number 1, understand the lifeline of business. एक बिजनेस की लाइफलाइन क्या है वो समझ लीजिए, और अगर आपने बिजनेस की लाइफलाइन समझ ली वो समझ लीजिए. और दूसरा क्या करना है आपको? दूसरा प्रमोद जैन का एक 7 days का सर्टिफिकेट प्रोग्राम है ऑन अकाउंट्स एंड फाइनेंस, वो अटेंड करिए. एंड आई कैन टेल यू विल बी लाइक एज गुड एज एन MBA इन फाइनेंस फ्रॉम हार्वर्ड और IIMs. आई कैन टेल यू दैट मच. एंड व्हाई डू आई से दिस? बिकॉज दैट इज व्हाट पीपल हैव टोल्ड मी. सो आई डिलीवर्ड दीस प्रोग्राम्स ऑल ओवर द ग्लोब थ्रू आउट इन मोर देन 50 locations, and everywhere this is how people have responded. So let's start with first thing first. I had the good fortune of working with a group called ArcelorMittal. I'm sure all of you must have heard of it at least. And I was with them for 6 years. When I joined ArcelorMittal, and that was in April 2011, first thing that struck me, that ArcelorMittal was a group which had become so big, $100 billion group, Fortune 500 company, just in a span of about 25-30 years. And how did they become so? They became so purely by virtue of inorganic growth. तो मित्तल साहब ने क्या किया? मित्तल साहब ने पूरी दुनिया में जाके अलग अलग कंट्रीज में स्टील प्लांट्स एक्वायर किए. और याद रखिए, आई एम श्योर मेनी ऑफ यू मस्ट हैव बीन टू सम स्टील प्लांट और द अदर, somewhere or the other, and you would notice steel plants are not small, they are huge in size. Huge money, absolutely huge in size. And the capacity of many of the plants, most of the plants that we had in ArcelorMittal will run into million tons of steel production. So one thing that struck me at that time, how would Mr. Mittal take a decision of acquiring a plant in Kazakhstan, or acquiring a plant in Ukraine, or acquiring a plant in Brazil, or acquiring a plant in Poland? How would he take that decision? क्योंकि ये आप कोई कार नहीं खरीद रहे, that you go to a showroom और वो प्राइस टैग देखा, थोड़ा बहुत negotiate किया और कार परचेज कर ली या फ्रिज परचेज कर लिया. You are going to acquire steel plants and of all size and all dimensions of all kinds of products. Some steel plant will have mining, some steel plant will not have mining, some steel plants will sell flat steel, some steel plant will sell long steel. So what struck me, how would Mr. Mittal take a decision of acquiring a particular plant?
And most of them were loss making.
And absolutely, not most of them, all of them were
All
loss
of them
making.
loss making, and he makes within 6 months.
He turned them around actually. Absolutely perfect.
I heard, I never heard.
No, you are absolutely right. बिल्कुल सही है. तो उन्होंने जो भी प्लांट एक्वायर किए पूरी दुनिया में, सब सारे के सारे प्लांट लॉस मेकिंग थे, क्योंकि कोई भी कंपनी जो प्रॉफिट मेकिंग है, nobody will sell it to you in any case. So फिर मुझे लगा कि क्या करते हैं मित्तल साहब ये डिसीजन लेने के लिए, because you're going to invest billions of dollars in all those acquisitions. And I realized first thing that struck me is the understanding of purpose of a business. So if you and I have a good understanding of purpose of a business, decision becomes very easy, very simple. So first thing, as family business or otherwise, that we need to understand is what is purpose of a business. And let me ask all of you, what do you think is purpose of a business? And maybe I can start from you. What do you think is purpose of a business?
Making profits.
Making profit, okay, very good, yeah.
Value addition.
Value addition. What is purpose of a business?
Building wealth.
Building wealth, yes.
Social good.
Social good.
Sir, I can say making wealth only.
Making wealth, of course.
All of these.
All of these.
Import substitutions.
Import substitution.
Actually covers all of this.
Covers everything, yes, of course, ma'am.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Now let me tell you, most people would think that the purpose of a business is to make profit. And let me tell you, this is completely wrong. And why this is completely wrong? It is because if the purpose of a business was to make profit, then you would not see a company called Apple. Why? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, within very first few years of their operations, started making profit. And they would have said that the purpose of a business is to make profit. We have made profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. If the purpose of a business was to make profit, you and I would not see a group called Tatas. Why? Because Jamsetji Tata, within few years of his operations, started making profit. And he would have said that the purpose of a business is to make profit. We have earned profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. If the purpose of a business was to make profit, you would not hear a group called ArcelorMittal. क्यों? क्योंकि मित्तल साहब ने जब पहली कंपनी डाली इंडोनेशिया में, within very first year he started making profit, and he would have said the same thing, that the purpose of a business is to make profit. By purpose we have earned profit. Purpose is achieved. Let us close the business. And therefore, please remember, purpose of a business is not to make profit. And why do I say this? I say this because making profit in a business is compulsory.
Dharma.
Making profit in business is mandatory. Making profit in a business is non-negotiable. Making profit in a business is not a matter of choice, not a matter of an option. Making profit in a business is an obligation. That means what? That means if you are in a business, you better make profit. And if you are not making profit, then what you do? Then you hand over this company to somebody who can run this company profitably. And that is why I say that the purpose of a business is not to make profit, because profit you have to make. And I'm sure all of you must be aware. Today there is a law in this country. And you know what that law is? That law is कि अगर आपकी कंपनी प्रॉफिट नहीं कर रही है, इसका मतलब अगर आपकी कंपनी आपके क्रेडिटर्स को टाइम पे पेमेंट नहीं कर रही है, तो आपकी कंपनी के क्रेडिटर्स आपकी कंपनी को एनसीएलटी में लेके जा सकते हैं और एनसीएलटी में लेके जाएंगे, और अगर उनकी एप्लीकेशन एनसीएलटी ने एक्सेप्ट कर ली तो यू विल बी removed from the management of the company. And please remember, what I am telling you, what I am discussing with you is not story, it is the truth. I am sure all of you must have heard of this company called SR Steel. SR Steel, this company belonged to Riaz, and today this whole steel giant it belongs to ArcelorMittal and Nippon Steel joint venture. You have this company called Ruchi Soya, all of you must have heard of. Now this company today is owned by Patanjali. You have this company called Bharat Bhushan Steel, and this company is now owned by Tata Steel. So today there is a law in this country, and that law is that if you are in a business and you are not making profit, then you can be removed from the management and somebody else will come in the management. Therefore, we need to understand what is the purpose. And please remember, it is very simple. And it is not only very simple, it is an excellent tool for decision making. Every decision, every time when you have to take a decision, you just need to understand as to what is the purpose of the business. And the moment you understand as to what is the purpose of the business, immediately you would be able to take a decision कि मुझे ये करना चाहिए कि मुझे नहीं करना चाहिए. And what that purpose is? That purpose is very simple. That purpose is value creation. That purpose is value creation. That purpose is value creation. And what is the meaning of value creation? It's very simple. As a business, please remember, as a businessman or as a business owner, being a businessman or being a business owner is not a matter of privilege or prerogative. It is an obligation. It is a duty. Why? Because you are using the resources of the country, resources of the nation, and therefore you have to use those resources to create value. And meaning what? Meaning do the things that will make this world a better place to live today than what it was yesterday. And that is the purpose of a business, which is value creation, which is everybody, which is, I can't hear you, which is value creation. And so simple. Now let's come to the answer as to how would Mr. Mittal decide कि मुझे ये company को acquire करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए. So he would look at a company, do the analysis, and find out if we acquire this company at this price, do we create value or we don't create value? If the answer is coming, if we acquire this company at this price, we're going to create value, then what do? Acquire that company. And if the answer is no, at this price, we will not be able to create value in this business, then what do? Don't acquire that company. Rather, you negotiate better with the seller and get a better price for acquiring that company. Remember, this purpose of a business, which Mr. Mittal used for the purpose of decision making, is it that only Mr. Mittal can use it for the purpose of decision making? And the answer is no, every one of us can do it. And देखिए, try करके देखिए, अभी भी अगर आपके दिमाग में कोई डिलेमा आ रहा है किसी डिसीजन को लेके, and you're not able to figure out कि मैं क्या करूं कि नहीं करूं, क्या करूं कि नहीं करूं, करूं कि नहीं करूं, करूं कि नहीं करूं, करूं कि नहीं करूं, just ask yourself, अगर मैं इसको करूंगा, will I create value or I will not create value? And if you get the answer, if I do it, I will create value, then what you do, just do it. There is no second thought required. And if the answer comes, no, अगर मैं इसको करूँगा, I am not going to create value. On the contrary, I am going to destroy value. Then also your decision is done because don't think about it. So that's the number one that we got to remember all the time, and that is purpose of a business, which is creating value. Now, whether you are creating value in a business or you are not creating value in a business, how do we understand? That we will understand by understanding the profit and loss. तो मैं प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस को अगर समझता हूँ, प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस से मुझे मालूम पड़ सकता है कि मैं मेरे बिजनेस में वैल्यू क्रिएट कर रहा हूँ कि वैल्यू क्रिएट नहीं कर रहा हूँ. तो मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा नेक्स्ट स्टेप? एज अ फैमिली बिजनेस otherwise I will need to come and understand P&L क्या है. So let me ask you, what is gross profit? Everyone, what is gross profit? How do you arrive at the gross profit of your business? Everyone. Gross profit क्या है? EBITDA क्या है? What is EBITDA?
Profit before tax and depreciation.
Profit before tax and depreciation, okay.
Indirect expenses before ordering.
Selling price minus what all input costs.
Yeah.
Very cheap.
Okay, that's your gross profit or that's your EBITDA?
GP.
आपकी EBITDA का आपके बिजनेस की फाइनेंशियल रिस्क से क्या संबंध है? What is the relationship between your EBITDA and the financial risk of your business? How would you arrive at the EBITDA cost of your business? Yeah? Revenue minus expenses. So when you say revenue, I can understand. When you say expenses, remember expenses can be of many types. So which are the expenses that you are referring to? Manufacturing, is that all or something else?
Direct expenses. All direct expenses.
All direct expenses. What about the indirect expenses?
Indirect expenses. Direct and indirect expenses, both. Taxes.
So let us, friends, understand first the profit and loss. You and I got to have a very strong understanding of P&L. Not that you have to prepare the P&L. For preparing the P&L, you have people, and they will do it. You and I need to be good in interpreting the P&L and also be able to take decision for the business so as to remain in control of your business. And that is what we need to understand. And let me tell you, बिल्कुल भी मुश्किल नहीं है, बहुत आसान है. कैसे आसान है? Let's understand. तो सबसे पहले, what you have something which is known as sales. Are you able to read, रमन जी? आप पढ़ पा रहे हैं इसको?
Yes.
Okay.
लगा दीजिए भाई क्या
You want this slide to be on?
Yeah.
Or is it okay? Or maybe I can use the black color one.
No, it's visible, sir.
Visible?
Visible.
Okay. Yeah, this is even better. I think this is fine.
Yeah.
So let it be. Let it be, because in any case we do not have the PPTs. So sales. अब देखिए सबसे पहला फिगर आपके बिजनेस का क्या है? सेल्स. अब ये सेल्स को आप टॉप लाइन भी कहते हो. क्या कहते हो? टॉप लाइन. Why do you call it top line? No rocket science. ये जो लाइन है इस स्टेटमेंट में कहां पर है? टॉप पर है. एंड दैट इज व्हाई दिस इज कॉल्ड एज टॉप लाइन. यानी कि कल को कोई आपसे पूछे कि आपके बिजनेस की टॉप लाइन क्या है, इसका मतलब व्हाट इज ही टॉकिंग अबाउट? ही इज टॉकिंग अबाउट योर सेल्स. सेल्स में से आप क्या माइनस करोगे? परचेजेस माइनस करोगे कि मटेरियल कॉस्ट माइनस करोगे? मटेरियल कॉस्ट माइनस करोगे, क्योंकि कोई परचेज आपने किया तो जरूरी नहीं कि सारा के सारा मटेरियल आपने इस्तेमाल किया.
Consumption ratio, opening stock, closing stock.
Absolutely. So opening stock plus purchases minus the closing stock, and that is your consumption. So what you will take minus from the sales is your raw material cost.
ये अभी नए ERP में सिस्टम है. टैली में जो है वो ओपनिंग स्टॉक, क्लोजिंग स्टॉक.
वो नहीं, वो सब जगह यही है. और ये जो सिस्टम है ना, और ये जो सिस्टम है ना, सदियों से ऐसा ही है और सदियों तक ऐसा ही रहेगा.
That is consumption ratio.
Yeah. So this is your raw material cost. Now what do you minus further from here? The next thing that you minus is your
Indirect direct expenses.
indirect direct expenses. Okay. What else? What do you minus from next cost? What you minus is your manufacturing expenses.
That direct.
Manufacturing expenses. So let's say your top line is 1,000, your sales is 1,000, your raw material cost is let's say 300, and you have manufacturing cost which is 100. So what you have in the bottom, you have a figure of 600. This 600 is known as your gross profit. Right? So how do you figure out your gross profit? You figure out your gross profit by deducting from the figure of sales, raw material cost, and the manufacturing expenses put together. What you get in your hand is known your gross profit. Please remember, not only you call it as gross profit, some people call it as gross profit margin. Some people call it as gross margin. Some people call it as gross value addition. Some people call it as gross value. They all mean the same thing. Are you with me? And why am I writing all this? So that you have no confusion henceforth as to if somebody is writing any of these terms, that means he is basically meaning the same thing, and what he is meaning is gross profit. Are you with me, everyone? Yeah. Right. Now also please remember, raw material cost plus the manufacturing expenses. Now these two figures combined are also known as COGS, cost of goods sold. तो अगर मुझे और आपको मेरे और आपके बिजनेस की कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड सोल्ड मालूम करनी है तो इसका मतलब क्या करना है? इसका मतलब आई हैव टू पिक अप द फिगर ऑफ द रॉ मटेरियल कंजम्पशन एंड आई हैव टू पिक अप द फिगर ऑफ द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एक्सपेंसेस एंड व्हेन आई ऐड देम टुगेदर व्हाट डू आई गेट? आई गेट माय COGS, कॉस्ट ऑफ गुड सोल्ड। इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट इज सेल्स माइनस COGS। आर यू विद मी एवरीबॉडी?
Yes.
Yeah, so gross profit is sales minus COGS, cost of goods sold. Now what do I deduct from here? Now what do I deduct from the gross profit? Which is the next cost that we incur?
Marketing, SG&A.
SG&A. Please join your hands and give me a big round. Of course, SG&A. So what you do, you minus from here something which is known as SG&A. SG&A is selling, general and administrative expenses, all put together SG&A. तो ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से आप क्या माइनस करेंगे? ग्रॉस प्रॉफिट में से आप माइनस करेंगे द फिगर ऑफ SG&A, which is selling, general and administrative expenses. And when you minus the SG&A and let's say that figure is 200, what you get here at the bottom is 400. This 400 is known as your EBITDA. EBITDA. EBITDA is earning before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. Amortization. So this figure is EBITDA. This is your earning before interest, tax, depreciation and amortization. तो वो यहाँ पे कितना हो गया? वो यहाँ पे 400 हो गया। अब मैं आपको बताऊं, when I was in ArcelorMittal, every quarter, religiously, Mr. Mittal will write one mail to all the top executives of the company. And that mail, every time, will highlight only 3 things. And please remember, what is applicable to ArcelorMittal is also applicable to every one of us also. And all said and done, देखा जाए तो आप Mr. Mittal का जो business है, वो भी family business ही है. Maybe big in size, but ultimately his business is also family business. So Mr. Mittal will send every quarter one mail to all the top executives of the company. And in every mail, I was there with them for 6 years, and that means 24 such mails we received. In all those 24 mails, the message was always same. The numbers would change, but the message was always same. And 3 messages that were there. Number 1 was Mr. Mittal always highlighted health and safety. In ArcelorMittal, for the information of every one of you, in ArcelorMittal, health and safety is considered so important that health and safety was directly under Mr. Lakshmi Niwas Mittal. Health and safety was a function that was under directly Mr. Mittal. So much was the importance to health and safety. Second thing that Mr. Mittal would highlight was EBITDA. हर मेल में उनके EBITDA के बारे में जिक्र होता था. And third item that he would highlight was reduce the debt, reduce the debt, reduce the debt, reduce the debt. And I'm talking about for the duration of 2011-2017. मैं आपसे पूछना चाहता हूँ, हेल्थ एंड सेफ्टी का तो हम लोग समझ सकते हैं, सीधी सी बात है, क्योंकि अगर आप किसी कंपनी के मालिक हैं, ओनर हैं, तो हमारी सबसे बड़ी जिम्मेदारी होती है कि हमारे लोगों की हेल्थ एंड सेफ्टी पर कोई रिस्क नहीं आनी चाहिए. अंडरस्टूड. Why would Mr. Mittal focus on EBITDA so much? What is so great about EBITDA? इतने सारे नंबर हैं, EBITDA ही क्यों? और भी नंबर हैं इसके नीचे, EBITDA ही क्यों? और आपकी जानकारी के लिए बता दूं, EBITDA is also known as cash operating profit. So this is also known as cash operating profit. और आपको एक चीज और बता दूं कि अगर आप फाइनेंशियल एक्सप्रेस पढ़ें, इकोनॉमिक टाइम्स पढ़ें या दुनिया की कोई भी बिजनेस मैगजीन पढ़ें, और जब भी आप M&A के बारे में सुनेंगे तो आपको ध्यान में आएगा कि सारी कंपनियां जिनका के एक्विजिशन होता है, टेकओवर होता है, उनको जो वैल्यूएशंस हैं, उन वैल्यूएशंस में सबसे बड़ा जो फैक्टर होता है वो होता है EBITDA.
Multiples of EBITDA.
Multiples of EBITDA. Absolutely, Raman ji. Multiples of EBITDA. What is so great about EBITDA? And please remember, that is what we need to understand. Would somebody like to tell me as to what is so great about EBITDA?
If it is not making cash profits, then need not do the business.
Fantastic, very good. Please join your hands. Give him a big round, of course. Of course. So please remember, the long life of a business is directly linked with the EBITDA of the business. Why? Because किसी भी business की life क्या है? किसी भी business की life उसकी land नहीं है, उसकी building नहीं है, उसकी plant and machinery नहीं है. किसी भी business की life है कि वो company कितना cash generate करती है. And that is why this is known as cash operating profit. यानी कि और समझ के लीजिए, no rocket science. बिल्कुल भी कंफ्यूज होने की जरूरत नहीं है. नो नीड टू गेट स्वेड बाय द जार्गन्स. एबिटा का मतलब है अर्निंग बिफोर टैक्स, इंटरेस्ट एंड डेप्रिसिएशन, और इसका मतलब है कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट. कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट का मतलब क्या है? कैश ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट का मतलब है कैश व्हिच यू आर गेटिंग इन योर हैंड फ्रॉम योर ऑपरेशंस. तो समझ के लीजिए, दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई एबिटा इज सो इंपॉर्टेंट. नंबर 2, क्या लगता है आपको आपकी एबिटा का और आपके कंपनी के बोरोइंग का, इज देयर एनी डायरेक्ट कनेक्शन बिटवीन दीज टू? इज देयर अ डायरेक्ट लिंक between your borrowing and your EBITDA?
Sure.
And sure, of course. And how would that
If you
link
are not
be?
making cash profits, then you will borrow. Then you will
सर
incur interest.
सर अगर आप कैश प्रॉफिट नहीं कर रहे हैं तो आपको कोई पैसा देने वाला नहीं है. Nobody is going to lend you money if you are not making profit. So the linkage, and that is what you and I must remember. Please remember, किसी भी business की borrowing capacity is linked with your EBITDA. Yes or no? किसी भी business की borrowing capacity is linked with the EBITDA. Why? Because when you borrow, remember, you get cash, no doubt about it. जब आप उधार लेते हैं तो आपके business में पैसा आता है, सही बात है. लेकिन याद रखिए वो पैसे के साथ में 2 ऑब्लिगेशन भी आते हैं. कौन सी ऑब्लिगेशन? ऑब्लिगेशन नंबर 1, you have to pay interest on this loan, and number 2, you also have to one day return this loan back to the bank from whom you are taking this loan. So therefore, अगर आपकी EBITDA नहीं है तो कोई भी आपको पैसा देने वाला नहीं है. और अगर आपकी EBITDA मजबूत है तो सारी दुनिया के लोग आपको पैसा देने के लिए तैयार होंगे. आपको क्या लगता है? Why is Gautam Adani getting so much of money from everywhere at cheapest of the price cost? And that is because all said and done, his group may be highly leveraged, but the fact is his EBITDA is very good, and that is what we need to understand. That is your EBITDA. तो EBITDA के बाद फिर क्या? From the EBITDA what we do? From the EBITDA we minus something which is known as depreciation and something which is known as amortization. So let's say my depreciation is 50 and my amortization is also 50. So what do I get here? I get here a figure of 300. This 300 is known as EBIT. It is known as EBIT. EBIT meaning what? Earning before interest and tax.
Amortization and effect what?
Very good. Very good. Very good. So you know what? In our business, we have 2 kinds of the assets. right? हमारे सबके बिजनेस में 2 तरह की एसेट्स का हम इस्तेमाल करते हैं, और कई बार तो क्या होता है कि लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं लेकिन उनको मालूम नहीं है. And this is something very interesting. So there are 2 kinds of assets that we use in our business. Number 1, we use tangible assets. So what are tangible assets? Tangible assets are the assets that I can touch, I can feel, and I can see. Are my tangible assets. So building, property, plant and equipment, computer, furniture, aircraft, train, ship. Now those are all examples of tangible assets. Then I also use in my business something which is known as intangible asset. And now what is intangible asset?
Brand, goodwill.
Brand, goodwill, software, technical know-how, design, logo, right? Trademark, brand name. So all those are my intangible assets. And now please remember, it doesn't really matter whether the asset that you are using in your business is tangible or the asset that you're using in your business is intangible. The fact that you're using these 2 assets in your business, the value of these 2 assets is going down every year, yes or no?
Yes.
So the reduction in the value of a tangible asset is known as, and reduction in the value of intangible asset is known as amortization. So अगर मैं आपको थोड़ा सा उसको अलग तरीके से बताऊं तो मैं आपसे कहूंगा, what depreciation is for tangible assets, amortization is for intangible assets.
Just explain
Intangible.
how does it go down, amortization?
Very good, sir. That's a very good question. Please join your hands in सबको एक बहुत जोरदार ताली बजा के. बहुत बढ़िया सवाल.
Brand value तो बढ़नी चाहिए.
Exactly. एग्जैक्टली तो सभी लोगों को लगता है कि गुडविल कैसे कम हो सकती
हाँ।
है ना? तो अभी हमको ये समझना बहुत जरूरी है। अब देखो, अगर मैं आपको कोक की बैलेंस शीट दूं, पेप्सी की बैलेंस शीट दूं, गूगल की बैलेंस शीट दूं, माइक्रोसॉफ्ट की बैलेंस शीट दूं, एडिडास की बैलेंस शीट दूं, या इंडिया की बहुत सारी कंपनी है उनकी बैलेंस शीट दूं, तो आपको ताज्जुब होगा कि गूगल की बैलेंस शीट में, कोक की बैलेंस शीट में, पेप्सी की बैलेंस शीट में गुडविल के नाम पर 10 पैसा भी नहीं है। Does it mean that Google has no goodwill? No goodwill? Does it mean Coke has no goodwill? Does it mean Pepsi has no goodwill? Does it mean Nike has no goodwill? Does it mean Microsoft has no goodwill? Of course they have a goodwill. And then the question is, if they have a goodwill, then why does that not reflect in the balance sheet of that company? And the answer is very simple. Please remember, what will reflect in your balance sheet is what you have paid for. तो आपकी किसी भी कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में कोई भी आइटम कब आएगा? जब आप उसके लिए पे करते हो। तो कोक ने जो उसके लिए गुडविल बनाई over the years, Coke has not paid for buying that goodwill, and therefore this goodwill not appear in the balance sheet of Coke or all these companies. Now, अब ये सवाल आपके दिमाग में आएगा, तो फिर गुडविल कब आएगी किसी कंपनी की बैलेंस शीट में? And let me tell you, it's very simple. Let's say tomorrow, Coke and Pepsi decides to enter into a transaction. And what is the transaction? Coke कंपनी के जो ओनर्स हैं वो कहते हैं कि पेप्सी को कि भाई हम ये कंपनी अब नहीं चलाना चाहते, ये कंपनी आप हमसे खरीद लो। और पेप्सी बोलते हैं ठीक है, हमको भी कंपटीशन नहीं चाहिए, हम पेप्सी को खरीदने के लिए तैयार हैं। सो कोक इज गोइंग टू बाय पेप्सी। कोक इज गोइंग टू बाय पेप्सी, तो कैसे डील होगी? पेप्सी का वैल्यूएशन होगा, और पेप्सी का वैल्यूएशन किया कि भाई कंपनी का कितना वैल्यूएशन होता है, एंड दे केम आउट विद अ वैल्यूएशन ऑफ, कोक ने वैल्यूएशन किया और कोक ने पेप्सी को बोला कि हमने आपकी कंपनी का वैल्यूएशन किया है, एंड अकॉर्डिंग टू आवर वैल्यूएशन योर वैल्यू इज, यू आर वर्थ $100 billion and we are prepared to pay you $100 billion. The owners of Pepsi said your valuation is all right, but that is the price which is not acceptable to us. If you want to buy us, then you have to pay a price of $120 billion. कोक को लगा कि ठीक है, $100 billion पेप्सी की प्राइस है, बट 120 करोड़ में भी ये कंपनी महंगी नहीं है, and therefore Coke says all right, we will pay you $120 billion even though the fair value of your assets is only $100 billion. अब आप मुझे बताइए, कोक को जो कंपनी मिल रही है पेप्सी, उसकी एसेट्स की वैल्यू कितनी है? $100 billion। और कोक जो पेप्सी को पेमेंट कर रहा है उसके ओनर्स को, वो कितना अमाउंट है? $120 billion। सो अब जब कोक बैलेंस शीट बनाएगा, तो कोक की बैलेंस शीट कैसे बनेगी? कोक की बैलेंस शीट बनेगी वैल्यू ऑफ एसेट्स एक्वायर्ड $100 billion, and what they are paying 120 for the assets worth how much? 100. The difference is 20. This 20 will appear in the balance sheet of Coke as, everybody, Coke as intangible, and that is goodwill. Now this is how goodwill will come in the balance sheet of a company. So please remember, the name and the fame and the credit worthiness and the reputation that you create for yourself with good delivery of product, service and everything, that will never reflect in your balance sheet as goodwill. When it will reflect in your balance sheet only when you pay for it actually. अब ये जो गुडविल है $20 billion की, ये $20 billion की आप समझ सकते हैं ये पेपर नंबर है, यस और नो? ये $20 billion का जो फिगर है बैलेंस शीट में, इट इज अ पेपर फिगर, इसका कोई सिग्निफिकेंस नहीं है। ये आप बैलेंस शीट में रखो या ना रखो, कोक को कुछ फर्क पड़ने वाला नहीं है, isn't it? So long as Coke is able to use the name of Pepsi, that is fine with them. बैलेंस शीट में वो आता है कि नहीं आता है, कुछ फर्क पड़ता नहीं है। So what companies do as a good accounting practice, because an asset which has got only paper value, you better write it off over a reasonable period. So what the Coke will do, they will keep on writing this goodwill off over, let's say, 5-10 years as they would deem appropriate, and this is how it is done. So this is how the intangible assets are all.
They will get expensive.
Yeah, so they will get an expenses of course, because this is an expense.
Yeah.
So when they write it off, they will get the tax benefit of course. They will get the tax benefit without any doubting. टाइम थोड़ा कम है, लेकिन एक और एग्जांपल देता हूँ. मुझे मालूम है आप लोगों के दिमाग में ये डाउट जरूर आ रहा होगा कि और क्या हो सकता है. देखो एक दूसरा सिचुएशन और भी हो सकती है. क्या है कि टाटा मोटर्स है. टाटा मोटर्स गाड़ियां बनाते हैं, ठीक है. तो गाड़ियां बनाते हैं, टाटा मोटर्स का खुद का R&D डिपार्टमेंट है ऑफ कोर्स. बट व्हाट टाटा मोटर्स कैन आल्सो डू, टाटा मोटर्स आल्सो कैन परचेज रेडी डिजाइन फ्रॉम समवन एल्स. यस और नो. तो जब टाटा मोटर्स किसी और से डिजाइन परचेज करती है तो टाटा मोटर्स इस डिजाइन के लिए पे करेगी कि नहीं करेगी? ऑब्वियसली करेगी. तो समझो वो 10 करोड़ में डिजाइन लिया है ना, तो वो जो डिजाइन है टाटा मोटर्स की बैलेंस शीट में कितने पे आ जाएगा? वो 10 करोड़ पे. अब टाटा मोटर्स क्या करेगी? टाटा मोटर्स चर्चा करेगी आपस में कि भाई ये डिजाइन अपने को कितने साल तक चलेगा. और टाटा मोटर्स का जो मैनेजमेंट है, मार्केटिंग, डिजाइन, प्रोडक्शन एंड एवरीबॉडी, दे कम टू अ कंक्लूजन that this design will be relevant for next 5 years. After 5 years, this design will have no value, right? So what Tata Motors will do, they will amortize this design over a period of
5 years.
at the rate of
20%.
20%. So 2 crore every year, right? So this is how the amortization happens, right? Now, तो आपने क्या किया? आपने EBITDA में से डेप्रिसिएशन माइनस किया और EBITDA में से आपने amortization माइनस किया. अब आपके हाथ में क्या बचा? उसको बोलते हैं EBIT, अर्निंग बिफोर इंटरेस्ट एंड टैक्स. अब आप क्या करोगे? इसमें से आप क्या माइनस करोगे? इसमें से आप माइनस करोगे व्हाट? फाइनेंस कॉस्ट, और which is also known as interest cost. And let's say that amount is again 100. Just to keep it simple, interest cost इतनी ज़्यादा नहीं होनी चाहिए किसी बिजनेस की. इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट ना हो तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है, बल्कि कम हो तो और भी अच्छा है. सो इंटरेस्ट कॉस्ट आपने माइनस करी, बचा यहाँ पे कितना? 200. और ये 200 को बोलते हैं EBT. EBT बोलिए या PBT बोलिए, दोनों का मतलब एक ही है. EBT का मतलब है अर्निंग आफ्टर टैक्स, PBT का मतलब है प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स, बट बोथ मीन द सेम थिंग एक्चुअली. EB में कुछ फर्क नहीं है, दोनों सेम ही है. अब ये तो सीधी सी बात है, आप समझ लीजिए कि EBT का मतलब क्या है? अर्निंग बिफोर टैक्स, यानी कि टैक्स के पहले मेरा प्रॉफिट कितना है? टैक्स के पहले मेरा प्रॉफिट है 200. अब मैं क्या करूंगा? From the EBT, what I will do? I will minus something which is known as taxes, right? Let's say my taxes is 50. So what do I have here in the bottom is 150. This 150 is known as EAT. EAT. EAT यानी कि अर्निंग आफ्टर टैक्स. और इसको EAT क्यों बोलते हैं? इसको EAT इसलिए बोलते हैं कि अगर आपकी कंपनी का ये EAT का फिगर पॉजिटिव है तो आप ईट कर सकते हो, अदरवाइज आप ईट. So it has to be positive, come what may. अब ये eat को, it is also called as bottom line. And I'm sure no rocket science again. Why it is called as bottom line? It is called as bottom line because this figure is coming in the bottom of the P&L statement, and that is why this is known as bottom line. Now, ये कहानी खत्म नहीं हुई. ये कहानी अब एक मुकाम पे पहुंची है. और किस मुकाम पे पहुंची है कि एज ओनर्स ऑफ फैमिली बिजनेस, ये आपका रोड मैप है, ये आपका एक्शन प्लान है टू टेक योर बिजनेस टू वेरी हाई लेवल्स. मीनिंग व्हाट? मीनिंग एज ओनर ऑफ द बिजनेस, व्हाट यू हैव टू डू एज ओनर ऑफ द बिजनेस, you have to focus on gross profit. You have to focus on EBITDA. You have to focus on EBIT. You have to focus on PBT, and you have to focus on EAT. Meaning what? Meaning as owner of the business, you do not have to get into everyday activities.